The stars looked cold and distant through the observation window of the Xanthari patrol ship. Commander Vexthul stood with his 4 arms crossed behind his back, watching the empty space around the Kepler 442 system. His green skin had a dull shine under the ship's lights. The patrol had been quiet for 3 weeks now. Nothing but rocks and gas clouds in this part of space. "Sir, we have something strange on the sensors," called out Lieutenant Kiranov from her station. Her voice carried the musical tone that all Xanthari females had. She was young for a space officer, only 30 cycles old, but she had good eyes. For reading sensor data, Vexthul moved to her station with quick steps. His people were tall and thin, built for the low gravity of their home world. "What kind of strange, Lieutenant?" "Energy readings that don't match anything in our database. Something big is coming out of jump space." Kiranov's fingers danced over her control panel. "Distance is about 2 million kilometers and closing." "Put it on the main screen," Vexthul ordered. The front wall of the bridge lit up with a view of empty space. Then, like a tear in reality itself, a bright flash appeared. The space around it bent and twisted in ways that hurt to look at. Something huge was pushing through from another dimension. "By the 7 moons," whispered Navigation Officer Tormol from his station. "Look at the size of that thing." The ship that emerged from the dimensional fold was unlike anything the Xanthari had ever seen. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of their patrol vessel. The hull was dark gray, almost black, and covered in thick armor plates. Strange symbols were painted on its side in white letters that read, "UNSS Liberator." "What species builds ships like that?" Kiranov asked, her voice small with worry. Vexthul studied the vessel on the screen. It had sharp angles and no curves like Federation ships. Weapon turrets stuck out from its hull like thorns on a poison plant. Some of the guns were bigger than his entire ship. "I have never seen anything like it." "Run a full scan." The alien ship moved through space with purpose. Its engines glowed with a blue-white light that the sensors couldn't identify. As it passed through the system, it left strange energy trails that sparkled like stars. Inside the human warship, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge with his hands behind his back. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm blue eyes. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. The bridge was clean and well lit, with screens showing star charts and system data. "Jump completed successfully, Captain," reported the ship's AI in a smooth female voice. The AI was voiced by Lieutenant Lisa Parker, who had recorded the voice patterns before the mission. "All systems are running normally." "Good work, Lisa," Morrison said to the AI. "Begin standard survey protocols. I want to know everything about this system." At the science station, Dr. Amy Rodriguez looked up from her readings. She was a small woman with dark hair and quick, intelligent eyes. "Captain, I'm getting some unusual subspace readings. There might be other ships in the area." "Other ships?" Morrison turned to face her. "Are you sure?" "The readings are faint, but yes, someone else is out there watching us." Morrison nodded and moved to the tactical station. "Commander Walsh, what's our defensive status?" Commander Steve Walsh was a big man with strong hands and a serious face. He had been a soldier before joining the Space Navy. "All weapons are ready, Captain. Shields are at full power. If someone wants to fight, we're ready for them." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Morrison said. "This is supposed to be a peaceful mission." Back on the Xanthari ship, the full sensor sweep was complete. The results made Vexthul's blood run cold. "These readings can't be right. Run the scan again." "I've run it 3 times, sir," Kiranov said. "The energy output from that ship is enormous. Their weapons could destroy a small moon." "And their shields?" Vexthul asked, though he feared the answer. Stronger than anything we have. Much stronger. Vexthal moved to the communication station. Send an emergency message to Federation Command. Highest priority. We have contact with an unknown species. Military technology level appears to be centuries ahead of our own. The message was sent through quantum channels, traveling faster than light to reach the Federation headquarters. Within hours, it would cause panic in the halls of power across 12 different worlds. On the human ship, Dr. Rodriguez continued her scans of the local space. Captain, I'm detecting refined metals and unusual energy signatures. There's definitely a ship out there. Can you determine their intentions? Morrison asked. Unknown. They're staying at maximum sensor range, but they're definitely watching us. Lieutenant Paul Roberts looked up from the navigation station. He was young and eager, fresh from the academy. Sir, should we try to make contact? Morrison considered. First contact protocols were clear, but they had been written for Earth-based situations. Meeting aliens in deep space was something new. Not yet. Let's see what they do first. The human ship continued its survey of the system. Its advanced sensors mapped every asteroid and gas cloud. The technology was so far beyond what the Xanthari understood that it looked like magic to them. They're scanning everything, Tormel reported. Their sensors are incredibly powerful. Are they looking for resources? Vexthal wondered. Or are they planning an invasion? Unknown, sir. But with weapons like that, they could take any world they wanted. Vexthal made a decision that would change everything. Prepare to leave the system. We need to report this to the fleet. But as the Xanthari ship began to turn away, something unexpected happened. The human vessel changed course and moved in their direction. Not fast, but with clear purpose. They've seen us, Kiranov said with fear in her voice. Are they targeting us? Vexthal asked. I don't think so, but they're definitely coming this way. On the human bridge, Dr. Rodriguez had finally isolated the other ship's position. Captain, I have a clear reading on the contact. It's about half our size, unknown configuration. Are they armed? Morrison asked. Yes, but their weapons are much smaller than ours. They don't appear to be a threat. Morrison made his choice. Take us closer, but slowly. No sudden movements. I don't want to scare them. The UN's Liberator moved through space like a sleeping giant. Its massive bulk cast shadows on nearby asteroids. To the aliens watching, it looked like a predator stalking. Prey. They're approaching, Vexthal said. All stations, prepare for possible combat. The two ships moved closer to each other across the empty space. Neither side knew what the other was thinking. The humans saw a chance for peaceful contact with a new species. The aliens saw death approaching in the form of a ship more powerful than anything they had ever imagined. In the command centers of both vessels, leaders made decisions that would shape the future of their species. Morrison chose hope and curiosity. Vexthal chose caution and fear. Neither man knew that their choices would soon bring two civilizations to the edge of war. The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo across the galaxy. In the cold depths of space, two species prepared to meet for the first time. The outcome would determine whether humanity would find friends among the stars, or enemies that would fight them to the death. The emergency alert reached Federation Command on Proxima Centauri B at 0347 hours station time. The message caused immediate chaos in the halls of the massive space station that served as the government center for 12 different species. Red lights flashed in corridors as officers ran to their posts. High Admiral Zethkron was pulled from his sleep by the urgent call. The tall draconian leader had scales that changed color with his mood, and right now they were a deep red that showed his anger at being woken. His yellow eyes glowed in the dim light of his quarters as he read the message on his personal screen. Impossible, he muttered in his deep voice. No species can build ships like that. He dressed quickly in his military uniform and made his way to the command center. The main room was filled with officers from different species, all talking at once. The sound was like a zoo at feeding time. "Silence," Zethkron roared. His voice carried the authority of someone who had fought in 3 wars. "Someone give me a proper report." Strategic Analyst Quinder stepped forward. She was a vegan, small and blue-skinned, with large black eyes. Her species was known for their logical thinking and careful planning. "Sir, we received this message from Commander Vexthel's patrol ship 2 hours ago." She activated the main screen, showing the sensor data from the Zenthari ship. The readings made everyone in the room go quiet. The energy signatures were unlike anything in the Federation database. "These weapons readings," Quinder continued, "suggest destructive power equal to an entire battle group. 1 ship admiral. 1 ship with the firepower to destroy a fleet." "What about their defensive systems?" asked General Morthek, the military commander of the Federation fleet. He was a Regelian, built like a walking tank with gray skin and forearms. "Even more concerning," Quinder replied. "Their shields appear to use some form of adaptive technology. Our standard weapons might not even scratch them." The room erupted in worried voices again. Representatives from different worlds began arguing about what to do. The Altarians wanted to negotiate. The Draconians wanted to fight. The Centaurians wanted to run and hide. Quiet. Zethkron shouted again. "We need to think about this carefully. If this species is as advanced as the data suggests, we cannot afford to make the wrong choice." On Earth, Admiral Rick Thompson was having his morning coffee when Lieutenant Donna Bell burst into his office. She was breathing hard from running through the corridors of the Pentagon. Her usually neat uniform was wrinkled, and her brown hair was messy. "Sir, we have a situation," she said, trying to catch her breath. "The UN's Liberator has made contact with alien vessels." Thompson nearly dropped his coffee cup. He was a veteran of many Earth conflicts, but this was beyond anything he had trained for. "Aliens? Are you certain?" "Yes, sir." Captain Morrison sent a coded message through quantum channels. "They've encountered at least 1 alien ship, possibly more." Thompson stood up and walked to the window of his office. Outside, he could see the normal activity of Washington, D.C., people going to work, cars in traffic, life continuing as usual. None of them knew that humanity had just taken its first step into a larger universe. "Get me the president," he said, "and call an emergency meeting of the Joint Chiefs. We need to decide how to handle this." President Helen Carter was in the Oval Office when the call came. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but she had the strength to lead a nation. She listened to Thompson's report with growing amazement. "So we're not alone," she said quietly. "I always wondered about this day." "What are your orders, Madam President?" Thompson asked. "Tell Captain Morrison to proceed with caution. No hostile actions unless they fire first. If we're going to meet our neighbors, let's do it right." Back on Proxima Centauri B, the Federation, Council was in session. Representatives from 12 worlds sat in a circle, each speaking in their own language through translation devices. The debate was loud and confused. "We should destroy them before they destroy us," growled the Draconian representative. His species had conquered their home world through strength and believed that war was the natural state of the universe. "That would be madness," replied the Altarian delegate. Her people were peaceful by nature and preferred to solve problems. "Through talking, we should try to communicate first." "With what?" asked the Centaurian. "They have weapons that could wipe us out. What if they're planning to invade?" High Admiral Zethkron listened to the arguments with growing frustration. His scales shifted from red to dark purple, showing his stress. Finally, he stood up and spoke. "The decision is made. We will send the largest fleet in Federation history to deal with this threat. I will command it personally." The council voted quickly. Fear made the decision easy. Within hours, orders went out to every Federation world. Ships began moving toward the Kepler 442 system from across the galaxy. The fleet that assembled was massive. 200 ships from 12 different species, each bringing their best weapons and bravest crews. The flagship was the Cosmic Retribution, a dreadnought the size of a small city. It carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. Admiral Morphex stood on the bridge of the great ship, watching as the fleet formed up around him. He was a soldier who had never lost a battle, but this felt different. The enemy they were going to face was unknown and possibly more powerful than anything they had ever encountered. "Sir, all ships report ready," said his aide, a young vegan. Officer named Talsith. "Good. Set course for the human ship. Maximum speed." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving trails of light behind them. They would reach the Kepler 442 system in 18 hours. The largest military force in galactic history was moving to stop what they saw as an invasion. On the UN's Liberator, Captain Morrison was unaware of the storm approaching. His ship continued its peaceful survey of the system, mapping asteroids and analyzing gas clouds. The crew worked with quiet efficiency, excited about the possibility of meeting alien life. "Captain, I'm detecting more ships," reported Dr. Rodriguez from her science station. "They're staying at long range, but there are definitely more of them now." "How many?" Morrison asked. "At least 20, possibly more. They're spread out across the system." Morrison frowned. One ship might be a patrol, but 20 suggested something more serious. "Commander Walsh, increase our alert level to yellow." "Something's not right here." Steve Walsh nodded and began activating the ship's defensive systems. The UN's Liberator was designed for exploration, but it could fight if necessary. Its weapons were advanced, beyond anything Earth had ever built before. "Should we try to communicate?" asked Lieutenant Roberts from the navigation station. "Not yet," Morrison decided. "Let's see what they do first." The alien ships continued to watch from a distance. They were patrol vessels and scouts, all reporting back to their command ships. The humans were being studied like specimens under a microscope. Commander Vex, though, had been joined by other patrol commanders. They met in quantum space, their consciousnesses linked through advanced technology. The meeting felt like a dream, but the fear was real. "The human ship is incredible," reported Commander Yixtal of the Rigelian Patrol. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." "Have they shown any hostile intent?" asked Vexthul. "No, but look at their weapons. They don't need to threaten. U.S. They could destroy us all without effort." The patrol commanders agreed to maintain their distance until the fleet arrived. They were brave officers, but they were not stupid. Fighting the human ship would be suicide. As the hours passed, tension grew on both sides. The humans knew they were being watched, but didn't know why. The aliens knew they were facing something beyond their understanding, but didn't know what to do about it. The Federation fleet raced through hyperspace, carrying the hopes and fears of 12 worlds. They were going to meet humanity for the first time, and they expected to find conquerors and destroyers. They had no idea that the humans aboard the UNZ Liberator were scientists and explorers, people who had dreamed of this moment their entire lives. The stage was set for a misunderstanding that could destroy both civilizations. In the depths of space, two species prepared to meet. One came with curiosity and hope. The other came with fear and weapons. The outcome would determine whether the galaxy would know peace or war. The Federation fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the edge. Kepler 442 system like a swarm of angry insects. 200 ships of different shapes and sizes spread across space in a formation that had never been seen before. At the center was the massive dreadnought Cosmic Retribution, its hull bristling with weapons that could crack moons. Admiral Morthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display with 4 eyes that glowed red in the dim light. His gray skin was covered in battle scars from 20 years of war. He had fought pirates, rebels, and invaders, but this felt different. This enemy was unknown. "Sir, we have the human ship on long-range sensors," reported his tactical officer, a nervous Centaurian named Plexer. "It's still in the inner system, apparently conducting some kind of survey." "One ship," Morthak said quietly. "One ship that our entire fleet is afraid of. The sensor readings are confirmed, sir. Its weapons are incredibly powerful. Much more than anything we've ever seen." Morthak nodded slowly. He had read the reports from the patrol ships. The human vessel carried enough firepower to destroy his entire fleet, yet it showed no signs of aggression. It was a puzzle that worried him. "Send a message to all ships," he ordered. "Standard battle formation. We approach slowly and carefully. If they want to fight, we'll give them one. But we won't fire first." The UN's Liberator was moving through the asteroid belt when Lieutenant Paul Roberts noticed something on his navigation screen. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching from the outer system. A lot of them." Captain Morrison moved to the tactical station, where Commander Walsh was studying the sensor data. The big man's face was serious as he counted the approaching ships. "Sir, I'm reading over 200 vessels. They're in military formation and heading straight for us." Morrison felt a cold feeling in his stomach. 200 ships meant this was not a patrol or a scientific mission. This was a war fleet. How long until they reach us? "At current speed, about 6 hours, Walsh replied. "Red alert," Morrison ordered. "All hands to battle stations." The ship's lights changed to red as alarms sounded throughout the vessel. Crew members ran to their positions with practiced efficiency. The UN's Liberator had trained for this moment, but no one had expected it to happen so soon. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her science station with worry in her dark eyes. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures from at least 12 different species. This isn't just one alien race. It's some kind of alliance. An alliance of 200 ships coming to meet one human vessel," Morrison said grimly. "That doesn't sound like a welcome party." In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Lucy Davis worked frantically to bring all systems to maximum power. She was a small woman with blonde hair and quick hands that seemed to work magic with the ship's technology. "Give me everything you've got, Lucy," Morrison said over the communication system. "Shields, weapons, engines. We're going to need it all." "You'll have it, Captain," she replied. "The Liberator is ready for anything." The alien fleet continued its approach, spreading out to surround the human ship. Each vessel was positioned to cover a different angle of attack. It was a formation designed to overwhelm a single target with firepower from all directions. On the bridge of the Cosmic Retribution, Admiral Morthak watched the tactical display with growing tension. The human ship was not running away. It was not calling for help. It was just waiting for them to arrive. "Sir, the human vessel has gone to combat alert," reported his sensor officer. "Their shields are up and weapons are powered." "Just as I expected," Morthak said. "They're preparing to fight all of us." "Should we power our own weapons?" asked Commander Yixtal, who had joined the fleet with his patrol ship. "Not yet. Let's see what they do first." The distance between the two forces shrank slowly. The human ship looked tiny compared to the massive alien fleet, but its sensor signature made it appear much larger. The energy readings from its weapons were so high that some of the alien ships had to adjust their instruments to avoid overload. On the UNS Liberator, the crew waited with quiet tension. They were trained professionals, but this situation was beyond anything they had prepared for. Lieutenant Dana Bell, at the communications station, worked frantically to find a way to talk to the approaching fleet. "Captain, I think I've found their communication frequency," she said. "It's using quantum entanglement technology, but I can adjust our systems to match." "Good work," Morrison said. "Prepare a message. Standard first contact protocol." "What if they don't want to talk?" asked Lieutenant Roberts. "Then we'll deal with that when it happens," Morrison replied. "But we're going to try peaceful contact." First, the alien fleet reached weapons range and stopped. 200 ships hung in space like a metal cloud, their hulls gleaming in the light of the distant star. The Unziviberator sat alone in the middle of them, surrounded but not defeated. Admiral Morthic studied the human ship through his view screen. It was beautiful in a deadly way, with smooth lines and perfect construction. Its weapons were quiet, but ready, like a sleeping predator. "They're not afraid," he said with something like admiration. "They know we outnumber them 200 to 1, but they're not running." "Maybe they're too arrogant to be afraid," suggested Commander Yixtal. "Or maybe they don't need to be afraid," Morthic replied. "Look at those weapon signatures. They could destroy half our fleet before we could return fire." The standoff continued for long minutes. Neither side wanted to make the first move. The humans were hoping to establish peaceful contact. The aliens were trying to decide if they should attack before the human ship could destroy them. Then Lieutenant Bell made her breakthrough. "Captain, I've successfully decoded their communication protocol. I can send a message." Morrison stood up from his command chair. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. The words he chose could mean the difference between peace and war. "Send this message," he said slowly. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We come in peace. We seek knowledge and friendship among the stars. We do not wish to fight." The message was transmitted on all frequencies, translated into mathematical concepts that any intelligence could understand. It raced across space at the speed of light, carrying humanity's first words to an alien species. On the cosmic retribution, the message was received and decoded by the ship's computers. The translation appeared on Admiral Morthic's screen in his own language. He read it twice, then looked up at his officers with confusion. "They say they come in peace," he said. "It could be a trick," warned Commander Yixtal. "They might be trying to make us lower our guard. With weapons like that, they don't need tricks," Morthic replied. "If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already." The Admiral made a decision that would change the course of history. He ordered his communications officer to send a reply. The message was simple but important. "We are the Galactic Federation. We seek to understand your intentions. Your ship carries great power. We must know if you come as friends or enemies." The reply reached the human ship within seconds. Dr. Rodriguez translated it quickly and displayed it on the main screen. The crew read it with relief and excitement. "They want to know if we're friendly," she said. "This is it, Captain. This is first contact." Morrison smiled for the first time in hours. "Send reply. Tell them we are explorers and scientists. We have no hostile intentions. We would like to meet them and learn about their civilization." The exchange of messages continued. For the next hour, each side learned basic facts about the other. The humans discovered they were facing an alliance of 12 different species. The aliens learned that humanity was new to space travel and had no knowledge of the Federation, but trust was still fragile. The alien fleet remained in battle formation, weapons ready. The human ship kept its shields up and defenses active. Both sides were prepared for the possibility that talking might fail. It was then that a younger alien commander made a mistake that nearly started a war. Sub-Commander Veltar of the Epsilon Eridani fleet was young and eager to prove himself. He had been listening to the communications with growing impatience. "This is taking too long," he said to his crew. "They could be stalling while their reinforcements arrive." Without waiting for orders from Admiral Morthek, Veltar ordered his ship to fire a warning shot. A beam of red energy lanced across space, passing just in front of the UNS Liberator's bow. It was meant to be a warning, not an attack, but the human ship's computers didn't know that. They detected an energy weapon firing in their direction and automatically activated defensive protocols. The response was immediate and spectacular. The UNS Liberator's shields flared to life with brilliant blue light. Point defense systems swiveled to track every alien ship in the fleet. Weapon turrets moved to combat positions. In seconds, the peaceful exploration vessel had transformed into a warship ready for battle to the aliens. It looked like the humans were preparing to attack the entire fleet. Energy readings spiked as the human ship's weapons powered up. The Federation officers had never seen anything like it. "By the stars," whispered Admiral Morthek. "Look at those defensive systems. They're tracking all of us at once." The moment of peaceful contact had passed. Now two civilizations faced each other across the void, weapons ready, waiting to see who would fire the space around the UN's Liberator erupted in brilliant light as its defensive systems came online. Energy shields flickered and danced around the hull like living things. Point defense turrets moved with machine precision, tracking every alien vessel in the massive fleet. The transformation from peaceful explorer to deadly warship took less than 10 seconds. Captain Morrison gripped the arms of his command chair as alarms blared throughout the ship. The bridge was bathed in red light as his crew responded to the combat alert with practiced efficiency. This was the moment every officer dreaded and trained for. "Report!" Morrison shouted over the noise of the alarms. Commander Walsh's voice was calm despite the chaos. "Someone fired on us, Captain. Energy beam, low power. Probably a warning shot, but our computers read it as an attack." "Defensive systems are active," reported Chief Engineer Davis over the communication system. "All weapons are online and ready. Shields are at maximum power." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet spread around his ship. 200 vessels, each one pointing weapons at the UN's Liberator. The situation was balanced on the edge of disaster. "Hold. Fire," he ordered. "Do not shoot unless they do first." This might still be a misunderstanding. On the bridge of the Cosmic Retribution, Admiral Morthek watched the human ship's defensive display with a mixture of fear and amazement. He had fought in 3 wars and commanded fleets across the galaxy, but he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, their point defense systems are tracking every ship in the fleet," reported his tactical officer with panic in his voice. "They're ready to engage all of us at once." "Impossible," said Commander Yixtel. "No single ship can fight an entire fleet." "Look at the energy readings," Morthek replied grimly. "They're not just ready to fight us. They might actually win." The alien fleet began to spread out further, each ship trying to find a position. That would give them an advantage. Captains who had been confident in their numbers suddenly felt very small and vulnerable. "Admiral Sub-Commander Veltar is requesting permission to attack," reported the communications officer. "He says the humans are preparing to destroy the fleet." Morthek's 4 eyes blazed with anger. Veltar started this mess with his warning. "Shot. Tell him to hold position and keep his weapons powered down." But the damage was done. The moment of peaceful contact had passed. Now both sides faced each other with weapons ready, waiting for someone to make the first move. Dr. Rodriguez worked frantically at her science station, trying to re-establish communication with the alien fleet. Her fingers flew over the controls as she attempted to cut through the interference caused by the active defensive systems. "Captain, I'm trying to reach them again," she called out. "But our shields are interfering with the communication array." "Can you get through?" Morrison asked. I think so. Give me a few more minutes. Lieutenant Bell, at the communication station, was monitoring all frequencies, listening for any sign that the aliens wanted to talk instead of fight. The radio spectrum was filled with alien chatter, but most of it was military commands and position reports. They're definitely preparing for battle, she reported. I can hear fleet coordination signals across multiple channels. Morrison stood up and walked to the main view screen. Outside, he could see the alien ships positioned around his vessel, like hunters surrounding prey. Each one carried weapons that could destroy cities, but together they still seemed afraid of his single ship. This is insane, he said quietly. We're outnumbered 200-1, and they're afraid of us. Maybe they should be, Commander Walsh said grimly. The Liberator was designed to fight multiple enemies. Our weapons are more advanced than anything they have. But we're not here to fight, Morrison replied. We're here to explore and make friends. The standoff continued for long minutes. Neither side wanted to fire the first shot, but both were ready to fight if necessary. The tension was so thick it felt like the space itself might explode. On the alien ships, crews prepared for battle with grim determination. Weapons were charged, shields were raised, and damage control teams stood, ready. They knew this fight would be like nothing they had ever experienced. Commander Veltar paced on the bridge of his ship, angry at being held back from the fight. He was young and had never faced a real enemy before. To him, the human ship looked like a challenge to be overcome. Sir, we should attack now while we have the advantage, he said to his first officer. If we wait, they might call for reinforcements. The Admiral gave orders to hold position, his officer replied. We must wait for his command. The Admiral is old and cautious, Veltar said. Sometimes young officers must take action. It was a dangerous attitude that would soon cause more problems. The young alien commander was thinking like a warrior instead of a diplomat. He saw the human ship as an enemy to be destroyed, not as a potential ally to be understood. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez finally managed to cut through the interference. Captain, I've got a communication channel open. I can reach the alien fleet. Morrison moved to her station quickly. Send a message. Tell them we mean no harm. Our defensive systems activated automatically when we detected weapon fire. The message was transmitted on all frequencies, carrying humanity's desperate attempt to prevent a war. It reached the alien fleet within seconds and was translated by their computers. Admiral Morthick read the message with relief. They say their systems activated automatically. They're not preparing to attack us. How can we trust them? Asked. Commander Yixtal, look at those weapons. They could destroy us all. If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already, Morthick replied. I think they're telling the truth. The Admiral ordered his communications officer to send a reply. We understand your defensive systems are automatic. We also do not wish to fight. Can you power down your weapons as a sign of good faith? The message reached the human ship and was displayed on the main screen. The crew read it with mixed feelings. Powering down weapons would show peaceful intent, but it would also leave them vulnerable to attack. It's a reasonable request, Dr. Rodriguez said. If we want them to trust us, we need to show trust first. Or it could be a trap, Commander Walsh warned. Once our weapons are down, they could destroy us before we can bring them back online. Morrison considered the options carefully. The decision he made would determine whether humanity entered the galactic community as friends or enemies. The weight of his species' future rested on his shoulders. The aliens are asking us to power down our weapons, he said to his crew. What do you think we should do? It's risky, said Lieutenant Roberts. But if we want peace, someone has to take the first step. I agree, said Dr. Rodriguez. We came here to make contact, not to start a war. Commander Walsh was less certain. "Captain, my job is to keep this ship safe. I can't recommend disarming in front of a hostile fleet." "They're not hostile," Morrison sighed. "They're afraid. There's a difference." The captain made his decision. It was a choice that would echo through history and determine the relationship between humanity and the galaxy. He walked to the weapons control station and placed his hand on the power controls. "I'm powering down our weapons," he announced to the bridge. "This is an act of trust. I hope they respond in kind." Commander Walsh stepped forward with concern in his eyes. "Captain, I strongly advise against this. We'll be defenseless." "No, Steve. We'll be showing them who we really are," Morrison replied. "We're not conquerors. We're explorers." Morrison began shutting down the weapon systems one by one. The massive turrets that had been tracking the alien ships slowly returned to their resting positions. Energy readings dropped as the powerful guns went offline. Within minutes, the UN's Liberator had transformed from a deadly warship back into a peaceful exploration vessel. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate. On dozens of bridges across the Federation formation, officers watched their sensors in amazement. The human ship that had terrified them moments before was now completely unarmed. "They've powered down everything," reported the tactical officer on the Cosmic Retribution. "Weapons, targeting systems, even some of their shields. They're defenseless." "Admiral." Morthek stared at the readings in disbelief. In all his years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. An enemy that could destroy his entire fleet had chosen to disarm itself instead of fight. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his first officer. Morthek was quiet for a long moment, thinking about what this meant. The humans had just shown incredible courage and trust. They had made themselves vulnerable to prove their peaceful intentions. It was either the act of honorable beings or the most elaborate trap in galactic history. "Stand down from battle alert," he ordered. "All ships, power down weapons and return to normal formation." The order spread through the alien fleet like a wave. One by one, the Federation ships lowered their weapons and relaxed their battle posture. The immediate threat of war had passed, but the situation was still delicate. Sub-Commander Veltar watched the stand-down order with frustration. He had been hoping for a glorious battle that would make his reputation. Instead, the older officers were choosing to talk instead of fight. "This is a mistake," he said to his crew. "The humans are making us look weak. We should have attacked when we had the chance." His first officer, an X. The small asteroid chosen for the meeting was nothing special. Just a chunk of rock and metal drifting through space, forgotten and ignored for millions of years. But on this day, it would become the most important place in the galaxy. Two shuttles approached from opposite directions, carrying the representatives of two civilizations that were about to meet for the first time. Captain Morrison sat in the human shuttle, wearing his best dress uniform. Beside him, Dr. Rodriguez checked her translation equipment one more time. Commander Walsh sat quietly, his hand resting near his sidearm out of habit. None of them had ever imagined they would be in this situation. Nervous? Rodriguez asked Morrison with a small smile. "Terrified," he admitted. "We're about to make first contact with an alien species. Everything we say and do will be remembered forever. Just be yourself," she said. "That's what got us this far." The alien shuttle was larger than the human one, built for beings who were taller and stronger than humans. Admiral Morthek sat in the passenger section, his four arms folded in thought. His scales had shifted to a calm blue color, showing his determination to make this meeting successful. Science Minister Talinef sat across from him, excited despite her concerns. She was a small being with large eyes and blue skin. Her species. The vegans were natural scientists and diplomats. She had been chosen for this meeting because of her ability to understand new ideas quickly. "Admiral, what do you think these humans are really like?" she asked. "I don't know," Morthic replied. "But they chose to disarm themselves rather than fight us. That tells me something important about their character." Both shuttles landed on the asteroid at the same time. The surface was rough and covered with the dust of ages. A small area had been cleared and equipped with a temporary atmosphere generator, so both species could breathe. Lights had been set up to make the meeting area visible. Morrison was the first to step out of the human shuttle. He was followed by his companions, all wearing environmental suits designed for space operations. They moved carefully in the low gravity, each step taking them toward a moment that would change history. The alien shuttle opened, and Admiral Morthic emerged. He was tall and imposing, with gray scales and 4 powerful arms. His yellow eyes glowed in the artificial light as he studied the humans with curiosity and caution. For a moment, the two groups stood facing each other across a few meters of asteroid surface. Human and alien, meeting for the first time under the light of distant stars. The universe seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what would happen. Morrison stepped forward first, removing his helmet to show his face. It was a gesture of trust, showing that he was willing to be vulnerable. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the UN's Liberator. On behalf of humanity, I greet you in peace." Morthic was surprised by the human's courage in removing his helmet. It showed either great trust or great confidence. He decided to respond in kind, activating his suit's translation system so his words could be understood. "I am Admiral Morthic of the Galactic Federation. I speak for 12 worlds and their peoples. We welcome you to our space, though we admit we are uncertain about your intentions." The two leaders moved closer to each other, followed by their companions. Dr. Rodriguez and Science Minister Talaneth were introduced and immediately began discussing technical matters. They found they had much in common, despite their different origins. "Your ship is remarkable," Talaneth said to Rodriguez. "We have never seen technology like yours. How did your species develop such advanced weapons?" "We had to," Rodriguez replied. "Honestly, our world has known many wars. We learned to build strong defenses because we needed them to survive." This revelation surprised the aliens. Most species in the Federation had achieved peace by becoming weak. They had given up powerful weapons to avoid the temptation of war. But humans had found peace while remaining strong. "You achieved peace through strength rather than weakness," Morthic observed. "That is unusual in our experience." "Maybe that's why we can help each other," Morrison suggested. "You have wisdom from many worlds. We have technology that could benefit everyone. Together, we might achieve something neither of us could do alone." The meeting continued for 2 hours, with both sides sharing information about their histories, technologies, and cultures. Trust began to grow between the representatives as they realized they had more in common than they had differences. But their peaceful discussion was interrupted by an urgent message from the alien fleet. A young communications officer appeared. On Melvic's portable screen, his face showing panic and fear. "Admiral Sub-Commander Valtar has broken formation. He's moving toward the human ship with weapons powered." Morthic's scales turned dark red with anger. "Order him to stop immediately." "We've tried, sir." "He's not responding to our communications. He says he's going to expose the humans as the threat they really are." Morrison looked at his own team with concern. Commander Walsh was already checking his communication device for updates from their ship. The news he received was not good. "Captain, an alien vessel is approaching the Liberator. They're charging weapons and demanding we surrender." The peaceful meeting had suddenly become a crisis. One young alien commander's pride and fear were about to destroy everything that had been accomplished. Morrison and Morthic looked at each. other with shared concern. "I can stop him," Morthic said. "My ship has superior firepower." "That would start the war we're trying to prevent," Morrison replied. "Let me handle this." Morrison activated his communication system and contacted his ship directly. "This is the captain. I'm ordering you to raise shields, but do not power weapons. Do not fire unless you are actually under attack." "Sir, they're targeting us," came the reply from Commander Walsh's replacement on the bridge. "Their weapons are hot and ready to fire." "I understand, but do not shoot first." "That's an order." Morthic was amazed by Morrison's restraint. Even facing immediate danger, the human captain was trying to prevent violence. It was a level of self-control that few beings possessed. "Your crew must trust you greatly," he observed. "We trained for this," Morrison replied. "Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing." Sub-Commander Veltar's ship approached the UNS Liberator with aggressive intent. The young alien commander was convinced he was doing the right thing. He believed the humans were deceiving the Federation, and he was going to expose their true nature. "Target their main weapons," he ordered his crew. "One shot to disable their systems. Then they'll have to surrender." "Sir, Admiral Morthek has ordered us to stand down," reported his first officer. "The Admiral is being fooled by their lies." Veltar replied, "I'm saving the Federation from making a terrible mistake." The alien ship fired a single shot at the UNS Liberator's main gun turret. The beam struck the human ship's shields and was absorbed harmlessly. But the action had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. On the human ship, alarms sounded as the crew detected the attack. Training took over as officers moved to battle stations. Weapon systems that had been powered down began to come online automatically. "We're under attack," reported the tactical officer, requesting permission to return fire. "Negative," came Morrison's voice over the communication system. "Hold your fire. That's a direct order from your captain." The crew was confused and frustrated, but they followed orders. The UNS Liberator sat motionless under attack, refusing to fight back. It was a display of discipline that amazed even the aliens watching. Admiral Morthek made a decision that would define his legacy. He ordered his flagship to target Veltar's ship with a disabling shot. The young commander's vessel was struck by a precise beam that shut down its weapons and engines without causing permanent damage. "Sub-Commander Veltar, you are relieved of command," Morthic announced on all frequencies. "Report to the brig immediately." The crisis was over, but its effects would last forever. Morrison's decision not to return fire, even when attacked, showed the aliens something they had never seen before. Here was a species with incredible military power that chose restraint over violence. "Your people are remarkable," Morthic said to Morrison as they returned to their shuttles. "You could have destroyed Veltar's ship easily, but you chose mercy instead." "We came here to make friends, not enemies," Morrison replied. "One angry young officer isn't going to change that." The meeting ended with an agreement to establish formal diplomatic relations. A permanent communication link was set up between Earth and the Federation capital. Cultural and scientific exchanges were planned. Most importantly, both sides agreed to work together to explore the galaxy peacefully. 6 months later, Captain Morrison was promoted to Admiral and placed in charge of humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission. The UNS Liberator became the flagship of a small fleet designed for exploration and peacekeeping rather than conquest. The Galactic Federation was transformed by contact with humanity. The idea that strength and peace could coexist spread throughout their worlds. Species that had been defenseless for centuries began to reconsider their approach to security. Sub-Commander Veltar was court-martialed and demoted, but he was also given a chance to redeem himself. He was assigned to serve under human officers. to learn about their approach to military service. Over time, he became one of the strongest advocates for human Federation cooperation.